The first insult didn't come from anger. It came from comfort. The kind of comfort men get when their reputation has never been questioned in their own room. Los Angeles, California, a gym built for impact. Not polished. Not cute. Real canvas on the floor. Real sweat in the corners. A ring that has heard 1,000 promises and believed none of them. The air is warm and metallic. The sound is constant rope creaks, bag chains, footwork, breath. And in the middle of it all stands a kickboxer who has made a career out of noise. His name is Eddie Turbine Marquez. People call him Turban because he never stops moving, because his legs don't rest, because he makes pressure feel like weather. He's not an amateur. He's not a kid. He's a real fighter with real footage, real scars, real rounds. And like many real fighters, he has a weakness that doesn't show up on highlight reels. He believes reality only counts if it looks like his reality. Eddie is loud today, not shouting like a fool, worse, joking. Jokes that land like punches because everyone in the gym knows who's allowed to joke and who isn't. He's leaning on the ring apron, shin guards dangling from one hand, gloves half-laced, smiling as he talks to a small crowd. "People keep telling me I gotta meet Bruce Lee," Eddie says. A couple guys chuckle. Eddie shakes his head like he can't believe it. "Bruce Lee," he repeats, tasting the name like it's a brand. Then he says it. Not as a scream. Not as a challenge. As a verdict. Movie star. The word hits the gym in a strange way. Not loud, but sharp. A few people laugh because laughing is safer than thinking. Eddie keeps going. "I'm not saying the guy isn't fast," he says. "I'm not saying he can't move." He shrugs. "But come on, that's cinema." He taps his shin guards. "This is real." He gestures to the ring. "This is real." He gestures to the heavy bags. "Those are real too." Then Eddie looks around like a man offering a public service. "If Bruce wants to teach, Eddie says. But don't walk into fight gyms talking like you got secrets." He leans forward, voice dropping just enough to sound serious. "Because secrets don't work when somebody tries to take your head off." A few nods. A few smile. Because Eddie is saying what most loud men say: if it isn't violence, it isn't truth. Someone mentions a rumor, half whisper, half bait. "They say Bruce can stop you without hitting you," the guy says. Eddie laughs. "Without hitting me?" he repeats. He points to his own chest. "Tell him to come try." And like that, a gym joke becomes a gym problem. Not because Eddie is dangerous, because pride is. Word travels, it always does. Faster than respect, faster than context. It reaches a small training space across town, quieter, tighter, older. A room that doesn't care what's trending. A room where people speak in minutes, not slogans. And in that room, Bruce Lee hears the story the way Bruce hears everything, without reacting first. He doesn't storm in. Doesn't defend his name. He simply says one sentence to his students: "Interesting." That's all. And when Bruce says "interesting," it never means funny. It means something is about to be taught. 2 nights later, Eddie Turbine Marquez's gym is busier than usual. Not officially, not advertised, but the word is out. Bruce Lee is coming. Men who claim they don't care suddenly care enough to show up early. Old trainers sit farther back with arms crossed like they don't want to be responsible for whatever happens. Young fighters stand too close, trying to look casual, failing. Even people who don't train find a way in, friends of friends, just watching, pretending it's normal to witness something that shouldn't exist. Because that's what myth does. It makes rules feel optional. Eddie is in his element. He loves attention the way fire loves oxygen. He paces, bounces on his toes, shadow kicks in place. He's not nervous, he's excited. Because in Eddie's mind, this is a free win. Either Bruce doesn't show and Eddie keeps the story forever, or Bruce shows and Eddie proves what he already believes. The door opens, not dramatically, just opens, and the room feels smaller. Bruce Lee steps in with no entourage, no show, plain clothes, simple shoes, a calm face that doesn't ask for permission. He walks like the floor belongs to everyone equally. That alone irritates Eddie, because Eddie's whole life is built on ownership of space, of attention, of the moment. Bruce doesn't scan the room like a celebrity. He doesn't look for his fans, he looks for the center. Then he stops, and the stopping feels like a decision. Eddie pushes off the ring apron and walks toward him. They meet in open space with the gym forming a circle around them. Eddie smiles like he's greeting a guest, but his eyes are measuring. "You're Bruce," Eddie says. Bruce nods once. Eddie chuckles. "Didn't expect you to actually come," he says. Bruce doesn't take the bait. Eddie turns slightly so the room can hear. "I'll be straight with you," Eddie says. "I respect what you did for movies." He spreads his hands like he's being generous. "But this is a fight gym." He taps his chest. "Real." Bruce stays quiet. That silence makes Eddie talk more. "So if you got something," Eddie says, "show it." He gestures to the ring with a flourish. "Get in." A few murmurs run through the room. The ring is Eddie's stage. If Bruce steps into it, Eddie controls the story. Bruce looks at the ring, then back at Eddie. He says one word. "No." A ripple. Eddie's smile tightens. "No?" He repeats, louder. Bruce's voice stays calm. "I am not here to fight," Bruce says. Eddie laughs like that's proof. "Then what are you here for?" Eddie asks. Bruce looks at Eddie's shoulders, at his breath, and then Bruce answers with a sentence that makes the room tilt. "I am here to test what you call real." Eddie scoffs. "You want to test me?" Bruce nods. "Yes." Eddie looks around at the gym like he's asking for permission to laugh harder. The gym gives it to him. A few laughs break out. Eddie points at Bruce. "All right, Bruce," he says. "Test me." Bruce steps to the side and points not at the ring, not at pads, not at gloves. He points at the floor near the wall. "Stand here," Bruce says. Eddie blinks. "That's your test?" Eddie asks. Bruce nods. Eddie laughs again, but there's a small hitch now. Because Eddie expected violence. He expected something he could win by doing what he already does. Standing still is not what he does. Stillness is the one place speed can't hide. Eddie walks over anyway. He plants his feet. "What now?" he says loud. Bruce steps close enough that Eddie's jokes start to feel childish. Bruce speaks quietly, forcing the room to lean in. 10 seconds, Bruce says. Eddie smirks. 10 seconds of what? Bruce answers. Of not reacting. Eddie's smirk widens. "I don't react," he says. Bruce nods like he expected that lie. Then Bruce raises his hand. Not a fist, not a guard, just a hand. Open. Relaxed. He holds it near Eddie's face, not touching. The gesture is simple, but the room reads it like threat. Eddie doesn't flinch. He smiles for the crowd. "See," Eddie says. "Movie stuff." Bruce doesn't move his hand. He moves his voice. "Ready?" Bruce asks. Eddie nods, still smiling. Bruce says quietly, "Start." And in that moment, Bruce does nothing aggressive. He does something worse. He changes the air. A tiny shift of posture, a slight step, half an inch, a subtle angle change that makes Eddie's nervous system wake up. Eddie's smile fades a fraction. Because even fighters can't fake instinct, Bruce's hand moves not to strike, but to invite reaction. A fast feint toward Eddie's eye line. Eddie's head jerks back. Not much, but enough. A few people in the crowd notice. Eddie notices too. He laughs quickly to cover it. "That doesn't count," Eddie says. Bruce's eyes stay calm. 8 seconds, Bruce says. Eddie's jaw tightens. Bruce feints again, this time lower, toward Eddie's throat line. Eddie's shoulders jump. Tiny. Automatic. The room gets quieter. Because the first crack is always small. Eddie forces a grin. "I thought you said no fighting," Eddie says. Bruce nods. "No fighting," Bruce says. Then Bruce adds, "Only truth." 7 seconds. Eddie's breathing changes. He starts breathing a little higher in the chest, the way men breathe when they're preparing to explode. That's not calm. That's waiting. Bruce's hand floats near Eddie's face again, like a leaf in wind. Then Bruce makes a soft sound, just a sharp exhale through the nose. Not loud. But it lands in Eddie's nervous system like a trigger. Eddie blinks hard, not because he wants to, because his body wants to defend. The crowd sees it. Somebody shifts their feet. 6 seconds, Bruce says. Eddie's ego starts to panic, because Eddie can't attack. He can't win the moment with power. He can only not react. And not reacting is harder than any combination. Bruce feints again, faster now. Eddie flinches. A real flinch. Not dramatic, just enough. The gym goes quiet in that ugly way where everyone knows what they saw and nobody wants to say it out loud. Eddie's face hardens. "That's reflex," he says. "Too fast." Bruce nods. "Yes," Bruce says. A pause. "And you cannot control it." 5 seconds. Eddie swallows. Bruce steps slightly closer. Just enough to make space feel gone. Eddie's hands twitch. He wants to raise guard. He doesn't, because the room is watching. Bruce feints toward the eye again. Eddie's head moves. Bruce feints toward the ear line. Eddie's shoulders jump. Bruce feints toward the jaw. Eddie finally brings a hand up halfway. The room makes a small sound like a collective inhale. Bruce stops moving. He drops his hand to his side. "Stop," Bruce says. Eddie freezes. The timer in Bruce's voice ends. Bruce looks around the room. Then he looks at Eddie. "You called me a movie star," Bruce says quietly. Eddie's mouth opens. Bruce continues. "But you cannot handle 10 seconds without reacting." Eddie's cheeks flush. He turns toward the room as if to recruit them. "That's not." He starts. Bruce lifts one finger. "No excuses," Bruce says. That line cuts the air. Because in a fight gym, excuses are the one thing everyone pretends to hate. Eddie stares at Bruce. The gym is silent. And in that silence, Eddie realizes the real humiliation. Bruce didn't hit him. Bruce didn't need to. Eddie got exposed by his own reflexes. Eddie tries to laugh, but it sounds wrong. "Okay," Eddie says. "Cute, you made me flinch." Bruce nods. "Yes," Bruce says. A pause. "And now you will understand why." Eddie's jaw tightens. He points at the ring again like he wants his world back. "Get in," Eddie says. "Let's do it real." Bruce shakes his head. "No ring," Bruce says. Eddie's voice rises. "Then what the hell are we doing?" Bruce answers calmly. "We are finding what controls you," Bruce says. Eddie scoffs. "I control myself," he says. Bruce looks at Eddie's hands. "They move before you decide," Bruce says. Eddie's eyes narrow. "That's fighting," Eddie says. Bruce nods. "Yes," Bruce says. "And that is why most fighters lose." The room shifts, because some of them understand that sentence in their bones. Bruce points to Eddie's chest. "Your body is fast," Bruce says. "Your mind is loud." Then Bruce points to Eddie's eyes. "But your awareness is late." Eddie clenches his jaw. Bruce continues, unbothered. "You think speed is power," Bruce says. Eddie spits the words, "It is." Bruce nods. "Speed is useful," Bruce says. A pause. "But control is real." Eddie's pride tries to stand back up. "Do it again," Eddie says. "I won't flinch." Bruce nods. "Good," Bruce says. He points at the same spot on the floor. "Stand." Eddie stands. Bruce steps close again. This time Bruce adds a rule. "Hands behind your back," Bruce says. Eddie blinks. "What?" Bruce repeats it, calm. "Hands behind your back." The crowd murmurs. Because now Eddie can't even fake defense. Eddie laughs once, forced. "You're trying to embarrass me." Bruce's eyes stay flat. "You embarrassed yourself," Bruce says. Eddie's jaw tightens like a lock. But he puts his hands behind his back. He stands tall. He tries to look calm. Bruce raises his hand again, open palm near Eddie's face. 10 seconds, Bruce says. "Start." Bruce feints fast. Eddie flinches, not as hard, but it's there. Bruce feints again. Eddie flinches again. Bruce changes rhythm slow, then fast. Eddie flinches worse. Because rhythm change is what breaks pattern. 7 seconds, Bruce says. Eddie's breathing gets louder. He tries to hold his face still, but the body doesn't care what the face wants. Bruce feints toward Eddie's throat. Eddie's neck retracts, a visible recoil. The room is silent again. 5 seconds. Eddie's legs tense. Bruce feints toward the eye. Eddie blinks. Feint toward the ear. Eddie's shoulder jumps. Feint toward the jaw. Eddie's head moves again. Bruce stops. Stop. Eddie stands there, hands behind his back, breathing like he's been sprinting, and nothing happened. That's the cruelty of the drill. Nothing happened except truth. Eddie's face reddens. This proves nothing, Eddie says. Bruce nods. It proves you live in reaction, Bruce says. Eddie spits. So what, you want me to be numb? Bruce shakes his head. No, Bruce says. Then Bruce adds, I want you to be present. Eddie's eyes narrow. Bruce gestures to the gym. You call me a movie star, Bruce says, because you think this is about tricks. He pauses. This is not trick, Bruce says. This is nervous system. Eddie looks away, frustrated. Bruce continues. You train combinations, Bruce says. You train power. He nods toward the ring. You train to impose your will. Eddie nods as if that part is sacred. Bruce points back to Eddie's chest. But you cannot stop your will from being imposed on you, Bruce says. Eddie clenches his jaw. Because, Bruce says quietly, you are not calm. That word calm lands like an insult in Eddie's world. Calm sounds like soft. Bruce watches Eddie's face. Then Bruce changes the lesson. Now, Bruce says, you will learn control, not suppression. Eddie scoffs. Same thing. Bruce shakes his head. No, Bruce says. Suppression is tension. Control is release. Eddie frowns. Bruce points to Eddie's shoulders. Your shoulders are up, Bruce says. Eddie doesn't even realize it until he tries to drop them. They don't drop easily. That's the scary part. Bruce steps behind Eddie. Close your eyes, Bruce says. The room murmurs louder now. Close your eyes in a gym? In front of fighters? That sounds like weakness. Eddie laughs. You're crazy. Bruce's voice stays neutral. Close your eyes, Bruce repeats. Eddie looks around. He wants to refuse. But refusing now is admitting the fear. So Eddie closes his eyes. The room becomes a soundscape. Breathing. Shoes. A bag chain. Choose bag chain. Silence between noises. Bruce speaks from behind him. 10 seconds, Bruce says. Eddie stands with eyes closed, hands still behind his back. Bruce moves quiet footwork, not loud. Eddie's body reacts anyway. A tiny shoulder jump. Eddie opens his eyes. That's not fair, he says. Bruce's voice stays calm. You react to sound, Bruce says. Eddie's face tightens. You're trying to startle me. Bruce nods. Yes, Bruce says. Because fighting startles you. Eddie points at Bruce. You're proving nothing. Bruce shakes his head. I am proving you are not in control, Bruce says. The gym stays silent, because even the loudest men know when a lesson is landing. Eddie looks down. Then he looks back up with anger. Fine, Eddie says. What do I do? Bruce nods as if he's been waiting for that question. Stand, Bruce says. Eddie stands. Bruce places Eddie's hands at his sides now, relaxed. Breathe through your nose, Bruce says. Eddie scoffs. Nose breathing? He repeats like it's a joke. Bruce's eyes remain calm. Yes, Bruce says. Eddie tries. It feels stupid to him. It feels too quiet. Bruce points at Eddie's jaw. Unclench, Bruce says. Eddie tries. His jaw doesn't want to unclench. Bruce waits. Again, Bruce says, softer. Eddie unclenches slightly. Bruce nods. Good, Bruce says. Then Bruce raises his hand again. 10 seconds, Bruce says. Eddie's eyes lock on the hand. Bruce shakes his head. No, Bruce says. Do not hunt my hand. Eddie frowns. Bruce continues. Feel the space, Bruce says. Eddie doesn't understand, but he tries. Start. Bruce feints. Eddie flinches smaller. Bruce feints again. Eddie flinches still smaller. Bruce changes rhythm again. Eddie almost flinches, then stops halfway. The gym feels the shift. Bruce feints toward the eye. Eddie blinks and exhales, and the blink relaxes. Bruce feints toward the throat. Eddie's neck twitches, then settles. Bruce stops. Stop, Bruce says. Eddie's chest rises and falls, but he's not embarrassed now. He's confused in a new way. Not this is fake. More like, why didn't I know this? Eddie looks at Bruce. That felt different, Eddie says, quiet. Bruce nods. You started to choose, Bruce says. Eddie swallows. The gym is silent again. But this time the silence isn't humiliation. It's attention. Bruce turns slightly, speaking to the room as much as to Eddie. Fighters think control is aggression, Bruce says. They think control is dominance. He pauses. Control is avoidance, Bruce says. Eddie looks down. Bruce continues. When you live in reaction, Bruce says, anyone can control you. Eddie's jaw tightens again. Bruce adds the line that changes Eddie's face. You called me a movie star, Bruce says, because you thought I needed a stage. He gestures around the gym. But you are the one who needs the crowd, Bruce says. Eddie looks up sharply. Bruce doesn't soften. Without the crowd, Bruce says, you do not know who you are. That sentence lands hard because it's true in a way Eddie hates. Eddie's voice is small now. So what, this is your secret? Bruce shakes his head. No secret, Bruce says. He steps closer. Only training, Bruce says. Eddie exhales through his nose, almost involuntary. Bruce nods. Again, Bruce says. This time Eddie doesn't complain. He stands. He breathes through the nose. He relaxes the shoulders. Bruce feints. Eddie reacts less. Bruce feints again. Less. 10 seconds pass. Eddie's hands don't jump. His shoulders don't twitch. His eyes stay open. He's not frozen. He's present. Bruce stops. The gym is quiet. Eddie looks around. No one is laughing. No one is talking. They're watching Eddie like they're watching something rare. Eddie turns back to Bruce. He doesn't smile. He doesn't perform. He says the line that proves the lesson worked, teach me. Bruce nods once. Good, Bruce says. And then Bruce does something that changes the room from spectacle to school. He points to the floor. Stand, he tells the next fighter. Because Bruce never wanted to win. He wanted the room to become honest. And that's why the kickboxer couldn't handle the first 10 seconds. Not because he was weak, because his identity was loud. And silence is the first opponent loud men can't knock out.